What is going on YouTube? Bo here with another Patreon critique. I'm so excited and I have a lot of energy. I've drank 2 Red Bulls today and I'm like shaking with excitement and energy and I don't know which is which. So this critique is going to my new patron, Gammatrap. I don't know if he wants me to say his real name. It's Gammatrap. He's a good art friend of mine here in the great state of Tejas. And we're kind of neighbors here. So he does work for a channel called Mylan Games, who explains the lore behind Destiny, the video game. And Gammatrap illustrates. I think he's been doing it for like 2 or 3 months now, and he does fantastic work. And outside of like his Destiny stuff, he also does amazing work. Like he does like T-shirts, and I don't know. I'll put all of his stuff underneath in the description box. His YouTube channel, his Instagram, and his Twitter. He's just a really nice guy, great artist. And he submitted this today for critique. So we're going to take a look at it here, and we're going to talk about the opportunities of it, okay? So everybody that wants a critique, become my patron, and you can do so. It starts at $1, okay? Or if you're feeling really generous, then give me 100, okay? Just kidding. Well, maybe I'm not. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the opportunities, and if you've never gotten a critique before, you know, I'm not a fan of like the critique sandwich, which is like say something nice and then say something like what the real beef behind everything is, like what really needs to happen with the picture, and then say something nice again. Like I just kind of believe in like getting in there and saying what's on my mind. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, that's just kind of how I function. Now that being said, it's an awesome piece. I love this piece. You know, this guy's head is being slammed against the wall, and it looks like we're kind of maybe in a canyon, like 127-hour situation here in Utah. No, I don't know. Probably out in space somewhere. And then this is like, I think this is a king. I probably need to look at the lore of Destiny, look up Mylan Games and see what this guy's all about. But it's an awesome piece. I love like blood and guts and gore and stuff, and it tells the story, right? That's the first thing you want to make sure happens when you look at a picture is, does it tell a story? Does it kind of pull you in? And yes, this does. And also, that being said, composition wise, we have the rule of thirds. Anytime that you put a character in the middle of your image, it needs to be a really strong image. You know, it has to be a really strong just story to tell, to put something in the very center, because as human nature would have it, we look at the center first. On almost anything, we look at the center and then we kind of find what we're supposed to focus on. So he's done a really fantastic job with that. The opportunity I want to look at is our color theory here. So I want to talk a little bit about color theory. Now you might have things in here that you've done out of design choice, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. All right. So I want to talk about life and death, which seems appropriate because this guy's probably dead or well on his way, and this guy is very much alive. And color psychology. So if we go to the color picker here and we kind of dab this and dab this, pay attention to this neighborhood down here. And sorry if you hear the dog growl. So it doesn't really change a lot, right? Which isn't a bad thing. We have this like army kind of green or brownish color going on here, but it's pretty unsaturated. And I want to talk about that in relation to life and death, okay? And same thing goes for here. When we go to like his dark spot, oh, actually what's that, like oh, it's all the way black, okay. There we go. We kind of pick around his light and his dark spots. We're kind of in that same neighborhood, right? So we want to play on this life and death idea. And what I mean by life and death, what does that mean? Okay, so we associate the color orange with life and the color blue and cool colors with death. And the reason being is like step outside, you know, on a sunny day specifically, and kind of let the vitamin D hit you and you feel nice and warm and fuzzy. You know, your brain kind of goes back to thinking orange. It just associates light with orange and life with orange. To further prove the point, think about the image of a fetus in a womb. The first color you think about is orange, okay? And if you've ever been to a funeral and touched a corpse, that sounds so blunt, it feels cold because it's no longer, you know, pumping the energy that it takes to require a 98.6 degree, you know, body temperature. Now it's room temperature and it feels cold compared to your room temperature hand. So we're going to play on this idea. And a good reference point, if you're still having trouble, is this simple image of an apple. Screenshot this and save it, or if you need it from me, then I can give it to you. So apples are all kinds of different colors, but just kind of what I'm talking about fits into this. So if we pull up this, instead of going from like dark red to pink, you know, to do your shadows and then your highlights, this goes from like an orange to like kind of this nice, like almost a purplish reddish kind of color. And it kind of goes into like, plays down here in the burgundy, then down here, and it's very rich saturated colors. It kind of does this bow here. Now you can use unsaturated colors, probably not for an apple. And the benefit in doing that is whenever you're using unsaturated colors, like over here in this neighborhood, whenever you finally start using something that you need focus on, if you like put a color that pops on it, it's a good way to draw attention to it. That being said, we're going to do things that harmonizes this image, okay? God, I've been talking so much. Let's just do something already. So I've made a duplicate layer so we can do the before and after. And the first thing I want to do, and this is basically like all post-processing stuff, like post-rendering stuff, we're going to go to color balance. It's my favorite thing to do. And we're going to go play around with our midtones and our highlights and our shadows, right? What is this thing? Like, piss off, right? Get away. That always pops up and I don't know what that is. So let's push our midtones, and we're going to push them towards orange, because I literally just explained that to you guys, alright? So, and you might have done things like that are design choice, I don't know, I just got the picture, so, right? We're just going to do the bow thing to it. And we don't want to do this to where it kills some of the things that you have going on, right? But what this does is it corrects the wash in your overall image. Now, it feels like that these characters are part of this environment because everything is kind of on the same temperature, right? And I've done this on my other critique, and it's a very common thing that you see with artists. I still do it all the time too, where I can't make up my mind, where I want to go color-wise. So whenever I paint something, it doesn't look like it really belongs in the background. It doesn't feel like they're in that environment. And that's kind of what this does. And I wish this thing would piss off, okay? But for now, we're going to keep messing with this a little bit. Highlights, we're going to drive those a little bit better. So the problem still remains, right? We still have our shadows that are still, if we go back to the color picker, they're still going to be in the same neighborhoods, right? Now it's just like slightly orange and slightly dark orange. So let's go to our shadows, and what we're going to do, we're not going to push those red, right? Then you're going to have like this, like, looks like the game Deus Ex where they just made everything orange. So let's do the opposite here. Let's go blue, okay? With our shadows. There we go. And now you can tell these darker areas are just bringing in some cooler colors into them. You can even do magenta. Magenta is a great, bringing in purples are a great complementary color to orange, right? So then we come back over here and we kind of dance around some more. And look at that. We're starting to have some interesting things happening with this picture. It's starting to already harmonize a lot better. And I think that looks pretty stellar right there. Right? So just doing that, it feels like they're in the background a lot more, see? And it feels like they're alive and this guy's dead. But we're going to kind of further that idea too, right? So let's do a normal layer. And let's take like a blue. Let's see. Let's go a little bit cooler than that. And let's see what happens if I do like 30%. Let's see if I do overlay. Let's try overlay first. And you just play around with this, Yeah, there we go. That's kind of the effect I was looking for. So we're taking just overlay and a very light blue. And we're just going to kind of run over some of these colors. Actually, let's go a little bit darker. Okay. A little bit darker there. There we go. My opacity set pretty low, and this isn't going to be like a complete paint over, right? It's just to get some ideas. So what we're doing is we're going over this because we're trying to sell the fact that he's dead, okay? We don't want to rely on just the blood to tell the story that this guy is gone, okay? So we can use the color. And the great thing about this is this still plays into the overall picture. We're doing this blue paint over, and it still applies to the picture very much, right? It's still, it's not extra lighting or anything. It's just we're just painting the shadows a different color. That's all we're doing here. So another thing, remember the apple, right? So let's go back to the apple. It went from orange to purple. So let's go from this blue. Let's kind of put some purple in there, right? Let's see what happens there. I'll tell you what, let's open up a normal layer and see if I can get the effect that I want. Probably a little bit too light. So we'll go down to 20%. And we'll go 10% for this. Maybe give him like a subtle little highlight back there, right? because this lighting situation is great, by the way. And I'll tell you what, that's looking pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with that, if you are. There we go. So we're taking our blue, and we're continuing to play that idea of making our shadows a little bit more interesting, right? Is that a rock down there? I don't know what that is, but it's going to get painted blue too, okay? Not sure what that is, but we'll just paint it anyway. When in doubt, paint it blue. So, and that kind of helps. Like you can do like situations down here. Like there's nothing wrong with using a dark color to do your shadows. Actually, you know, I kind of like the way that bleeds into the black darkness there. So we'll leave that alone. And the next thing I want to do is, I'll tell you what, the anatomy is just about there. I think the foreshortening is not bad. I think you might benefit from like a metal study. Now it depends on what kind of metal you're doing here, because there's so many. This kind of looks like a brushed metal. If that's the metal you're going for, then good job. But I would still probably hit up a metal study, just for the stuff that you're painting lately. Doesn't look bad, but you can always benefit from another metal study, and then you know, hit like the little highlights and stuff that metal has. It just depends on what kind of metal this is, though. So I'm not sure. One thing that kind of sticks out is I'm a little confused about this area. I'm going to try to see if I can make this look a little bit cleaner here and more, because it looks like he's kind of like looking like straight to the left, but then again, like this body's down here, so I'm trying to think. It looks like he would be like, maybe let's do this. Let's try this. Whoops. Talking a lot. Actually, that's kind of the effect that that my brain was wanting to see, right? The reason I did that, let me kind of explain what my mind is doing there. Sorry, it's hard to paint and draw at the same time. So, like, my thought process, whoops, is that his vision would be like, you know, down, looking down that way, and when we had it the other way, there we go, it looks like he's like looking that way. You know what I mean? So I think that taking off that top of his hood, we still have a figure, like, just by his stance, you know, it still looks like he's like looking down that way. You can still tell like the skeletal system in there. So I'm gonna make that change. Hopefully you agree. If not, that's cool too, whatever. So we're going to do one last thing here as well. So we're going to bring up some color dodge. Color dodge is like what the Salt Bay guy does. You know, that meme, the guy that pours all the salt or whatever. Color dodge is like what he does, like sprinkles the salt at the very end and gives like that little extra dash. So we're going to put up some color dodge here. Why is this not flipping? I'm having all kinds of Wacom issues today. What we're going to do with color dodge is just take some of that light area, right? You can even take, probably take like that. Test that out. And we're going to use this just to kind of subtly paint the, like, some rim light, right? And again, we were just playing on the theory that I described at the very beginning of this video, okay? And you don't have to do this. Something that I find kind of cool, I don't know, kind of gives some extra depth to your drawings. And I see that you already have painted the air around your figure too. So you kind of have like this soft light bouncing off of him, kind of a bloom effect almost, right? So it's kind of just reinforcing your idea already, okay? And you don't want to go too crazy with rim light. And you can make rim light brighter. I mean, some of these areas it might be a little bit brighter, but you don't want to take your focus off of, you know, this situation. We don't want to like have our eyes go to this weird spot in the middle of the thing. So I'm pretty conservative with my use of rim lighting. But color dodge, just taking, that's what you do. You take like the brightest light source or color of the light source, and you start kind of messing around with it, right? And I use a texture brush. I kind of know that you, I don't know what brush you use actually. Here, we'll just kind of paint over some of these areas, and then we can go back over them here in a minute. So we're going to take our eraser, like 20%. And fart around with the area, alright? Oh god, what happened? I'm trying to just get those little wrinkles here with light. There we go. I think that really wraps up like this picture really. It's a great job. You did a really nice job. So let's take away like all the changes here. All right. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And there's the original. And then we added a wash, right? And some color dodge and some touch up on the light areas. And that was it. And we kind of fixed like some perspective with his hood. And I think it's a fantastic piece. You did a great job. Everybody go check out Gammatrap. If you want to become a patron of mine and get your own critique, then go to patreon.com/Beauviarts. Look at the description box below, and you're going to see all these wonderful links. And I really appreciate everybody's support, okay? I've launched this thing, and everybody's been so amazing, and I've met so many great friends and talented people out there as far as art goes. So thank you for the continued support, and thank you for your future support. We will see you next time, guys.